My name is Mark. This is Zen Talk. The topic is transmission of the lamp. When one goes to a Zen center or starts to read about Zen Buddhism, it is very quickly that you encounter this story about the transmission of the lamp. And the story goes something like, from the original Gautama Buddha, he recognized the light within of his disciples, and that recognition of the light within from master to disciple has been carried forward until today's times. So that is the general story, that there's this unbroken mind-to-mind transmission going all the way back to the Gautama Buddha, and that your teacher or the people that are writing books have this. And so this is a myth. So we'll go through a few myths about the transmission of the lamp. So number one, it is an unbroken lineage to the original Gautama Buddha. And this has been completely debunked. Researchers and scholars have found that many of the names in the lineage that is often recited every morning by Buddhist monks, many of those names are fabricated. These are from people that never existed. Some of the transmission stories claim that the priests or the monks were transmitted from ghosts or from books. So the entire factual transmission of the lamp falls apart in the fact that it cannot be substantiated by the actual history. So it's sort of a faith only, that you just simply believe it's true without really looking any deeper than that. So the number two is that those who are transmitted, such as a transmitted priest, have achieved Buddhahood. And this is completely false. There's no Zen teacher that would agree that transmission confirms Buddhahood. Number three, transmission confirms that one is enlightened. And again, this is false. No Zen teacher that I know would ever say that confirms enlightenment, and those that have received the transmission would disagree as well, saying that this does not confirm enlightenment. That transmission holders are bodhisattvas, those who seek Buddhahood. To some degree, in a pure Buddhist sense, anybody who seeks Buddhahood is a bodhisattva. But that transmission does not confer that one is a venerable holy bodhisattva. And number five, that transmitted priests are infallible. That anything that they say is absolute truth and cannot be proven false. And that of course, no priest that I know would ever agree with this. So we know that history is a lie. It is written and rewritten over and over again to promote the political agenda of the times. And Buddhism is no exception to this. There has been a lot of documentation about sutras that were included and then taken out and then re-included back in just to favor the political situation of the times. And of course, as the times move on, those revisions carry forward. Okay, so what is the real transmission? So I'll just read this poem. Directly pointing to the light of your own mind, seeking and holding one's true nature, thus realizing Buddhahood, the holy transmission completed, the confusion of scriptures is transcended. So the real transmission does not come from a person, does not come from a Zen center, does not come from your teacher. It comes from directly the light of your own mind, your soul. And when you see one's true nature, and true nature is the Zen word for your soul, thus you realize Buddhahood. You're the Buddha because you could turn inward and view your true soul, that the light of your mind, and that is the holy transmission. That is it. Nobody can give it to you, and nobody can take it away. And then once this is completed, the scriptures now make sense. And it's one of those, you sort of have to do this before this, but this can help you do this. So it's a circle within a circle. I know, confusing. Let's move on. All right, so what we have, generally the transmission that we see in the Zen centers could probably be more termed as a sectarian transmission. So in Japan, in Japanese Zen, transmission signifies the end of formal training. Monks have put in the required time in temple monastic training, typically a year. And monks have completed all the classes, which would be like theology and history, and learned all the ceremonies required. So it would be considered greatly scandalous for a monk to go through the monastic training and not be transmitted. And I have had Western friends who have gone through both Soto and Rinzai training in Japan, and it's just exactly what what I've written here. They put in about a year in temple training, they complete all the requirements, and they are transmitted. And that's pretty much it. It would be, and I have been told that it would be very dishonorable or very scandalous for a monk to be refused. There might be exceptions, of course, for like if a monk commits murder or goes to jail, but that's pretty much about it. In Catholicism, the priests have a similar process. I'll turn this off here. So in Catholicism, the priests have a similar process of acceptance, seminary, and ordination. It would again be greatly scandalous for a person to go through all that training and not be given the rite of ordination that makes them a priest. So just like in the sectarian transmission in Japan, we see the same thing here in the Western Catholicism. Okay, so let's talk about the transmission in Western Zen centers. In my own discussions with the sectarian transmitted Zen teachers that are here in the West, this is what they have to say about transmission. That it's to encourage a senior student to further their studies and commitment. That to recognize a senior student's time, dedication, and effort, and that they basically, more or less, have a solid and basic understanding of Buddhism, and to create a priest so that there are successors to the existing temples and to where new satellite temples can open. So I actually, to encourage a senior student to further their commitment. This is often really where it's at. At the same time, it's a recognition, so it's sort of both. And that's pretty much what every transmitted Zen teacher has told me about why transmission would happen and what it's really about. Now, the criticism is that the path to transmission is subjective and ambiguous, and in many of the Western Zen centers, this opens up the door to malicious politics, in-group preference, and arbitrary, unjust decisions as on who is transmitted and who is not. And this last part here, I have personally witnessed, where students who have been in monastic training for 5, maybe even 10 years are not transmitted versus somebody who walks in the door and within 6 months are transmitted. So this is something that I think the Western Zen centers would really need to examine and possibly clear out a lot of the corruption, and maybe there are some evil people that are involved in their Zen centers they need to clear out. Okay, so let's talk about layman transmission. This is something that has cropped up within the last 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. So here in the West, the sectarian transmission to non-ordained persons has become accepted. and this is practiced in many American Zen centers. Korean Zen has also started with layman transmission as well. Western Christianity has a similar layman ordination, such as a church deacon, eldersman, or even a lay priest that can perform ceremonies and church functions when a fully ordained priest is not available. Now, of course, there may be some ceremonies and rites that the layman cannot perform due to church law or rules. However, there may be reasons why the layman transmission is done, and these are methods that are done when an organization is either growing or when an organization is in recession and no new priests are available. So these are the two reasons why you have lay priests: is the group is growing too fast, or they are in recession and they can't find replacements. All right, so this is the end of my talk on the transmission of the lamp. I encourage you to do your own studies on the transmission of the lamp and come to your own decisions. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.